All right. So after about I don't know, 10, 15, 20 minutes maybe of trying to figure this fucking thing out, I finally figured it out. My Audacity was not starting for some reason, so I had to restart my computer and get that thing up and running. Could not get Audacity to start. And then I had my board on over here. I've only got one mic up. I had everything pulled off of the table. I had it in my bag down here and over here in this corner, because twice now I was supposed to go remote and do a podcast with the Noisy Boys, and I just haven't been able to do it. I just haven't been feeling well. We'll get into that. But once I put this mic back on the table, I put the board up here, and I had my headphones on. I finally got the computer rebooted and got the Audacity up, and I was trying to hear myself through the headphones. I'm tapping, I'm going, I'm trying to get stuff to get the noise in my head, and I couldn't hear anything. And finally, I looked over and I got the mic the headphone amplifiers turned on, and I just could not hear a thing. Well, you got to plug the goddamn headphone amplifier into the Bose tone match. So that helps when you do that. So once I got that plugged in, wow, I can hear myself in my headphones. Imagine that. So when you dismantle everything, you have to kind of put it back together, or else you don't hear anything, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So what's going on, guys? How's it going? It's been a little while. I've done a couple episodes remotely. I did a Wide Awake episode at Wide Awake Brewing Company. I reposted that because I wasn't real happy with the sound that came out of that. So I went back in and re-edited and tried to take out some of the noise. There's still some in there that I kind of wish I would have gotten out, but I'm not doing it a third time. I probably should. I'm a perfectionist, and I want things to sound and look and the content to be great. But it's going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to get there. So I'm going to have a few mishaps here and there. And you know what? Down the road, when I look back, 2-3 years down the road after I've gone, ahead with this thing, I want to be able to look back and look at those mistakes and look at those shortcomings and say, wow, look how far I've come from there. So sometimes it's good to maybe leave some of those imperfections in there and be able to see where I've come from. So that's all I'm saying. But anyway, I got the mic back up. I got the board up. I got everything going. I'm not drinking a beer tonight. We'll get into that. I have had some beer tonight, but I'm not going to drink any beer on the podcast tonight, because here's the main reason: because I don't have any beer in the house right now. So if I don't have any beer, I don't have any beer to drink. I didn't pick anything up. So, but what I am drinking, I brought home my little flask of Wild Turkey 101 bourbon from Wild Turkey, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Brought that home. Had that in the fridge there at Homegrown. Poured me a little over a couple rocks. So that's what I'm drinking, Wild Turkey. Yeah. So what's going on, guys? It's been a little while, like I said. Oh, I didn't even say. I did the Wide Awake episode. And then what did I do after that? Oh, yeah, the Yaden Smith episode. So did that. And did not get really, I don't know. I'm just going to say it. I don't give a shit. I thought that was going to be a more collaborative effort. I had Yaden sit across the table from me here. It was a fantastic time. I thought the lighting was a little dark, because I actually did that one during the daytime. I had the lights coming from all six of these window panes back here in the daytime. So there was a lot of light illuminating the room here, but then that distracted or took away from the light at the camera for some reason. So it was kind of dark in here. I didn't have the background light on here behind me, so I was definitely really dark. I thought it worked for sure, but in my expectation was that was going to be a collaboration. We were going to help push each other, and I didn't see any push from the other side. So that was kind of I won't say it was a waste of my time because it was good content. And on my end, I thought it went very well. It was very well received, very liked, and I thought was one of the best podcasts that I've produced so far. Like I said, besides the lighting, but as far as sound and the video and the content went, I thought it went very well. But I was disappointed in the push that I got from the other side because, like I said, it was supposed to be a collaboration of sorts, but yeah, didn't go very far, and I'm disappointed. Did I say that already? I'm really kind of disappointed. I'm kind of pissed off. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of pissed because there was supposed to be 2 local podcasters here in Somerville, the only 2 that I know of, besides one that I maybe will talk about here in a second, but I'm not sure it's actually Somerville per se, but it was supposed to be a collaboration where we were supposed to push each other and promote each other's podcasts and help get listeners on both sides. And I was the only one that fucking pushed. So it kind of, yeah. Can you tell I'm a little bent out of shape about it? I shouldn't be. I shouldn't let things like that bother me, but I do. I'm a perfectionist. And when I say, when I give my word on something, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And other people's do not. Other people do not. Could be people's, could be plural as well. But yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't know what was going on with the computer. I was trying to get Audacity. I clicked it, double-clicked it, right-clicked it. I did every click you could do on it for about 6 times before I decided I need to restart the computer because it just was not working. So the first solo one I've done in a while. I've got a couple notes down here. We'll run through them. I don't plan on talking for a long while. I know, guys. I say that every time, and I end up talking forever. Not forever. Forever's a mighty long time. But I'm here to tell you there's something else. That's a Prince song, by the way. Let's go crazy. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, I've got a list. First on the list, I have running. Well, I am not running anymore at the moment. I think I stopped at, was it 37 days? I should have written that down in my notes, I guess. But let's take a look real quick. I think I went 37 days before I had to call it quits for the time being. It's coming back. I'm going to get back to running. Let's see. I'll scroll through this. But yeah, I've had some blood pressure issues. Let's just put it that way, if you can call them issues. And I just do not feel it prudent to run at the current time. I actually had a couple people that were pissed off at me on the very last run that I did, which I believe was the 36th day. I'm going to find it. I'm going back. I'm scrolling. Wow, how far back was it? But yeah, I've had some blood pressure issues, so I felt it not the best idea unless I want to keel over dead in the middle of the street to be running right now. So yeah, this past Tuesday, I did 37 days. So on my 37th day, I said, decided to, as they say in risky business, say what the fuck. Got out there because I got a frowny face on my last post from a mentor and old boss of mine, Shelly Kassler. And I probably shouldn't have done that. That night when I went out there and ran, I think my blood pressure that night was 169 over 104. And I decided at that moment that I wasn't going to go run, that it was ill-advised for me to go running. But then I said to myself, I'm letting people down. And, I made a commitment to run 365 days consecutively. And if I don't get out there and run, my thought was for the people that were following me, for the people that were counting on me to get out there and do it, and the people that were inspired. So I made a decision that night to go out there and run. And I shouldn't have. It was a stupid decision. But I really didn't want to break the streak. I didn't want to disappoint people. So I got out there and did it. I survived it, obviously. I didn't have any events, but it could have been catastrophic. I could have stroked out, could have had a heart attack, could have, so many things could have happened. It was not in my best interest to run. And I sent a note to my provider at that time, that night, as a matter of fact, and I said, look, my blood pressure is out of control. I don't know what's going on. I've been off of blood pressure medication for over 2 years now, since I started the keto diet, the keto way of eating, lifestyle, whatever. I lost 50 pounds. I've put on about 15 of those pounds back on, which I feel is good for me. I'm at about 205 right now. I was a little too skinny, I think, a little too gaunt at the 184 that I got down to. And I'd come off all my medication, everything. My blood pressure was fantastic. All my biomarkers were great. And for some reason, and I've talked about it before, I've got this condition called polycythemia vera. It's a blood disorder. It's a blood cancer of sorts. Not of sorts. It's a blood cancer where my blood, my bone marrow produces too many red blood cells, and my blood gets too viscous, and that increases blood pressure as well. But I think there's something else going on. I don't think that is the case. I don't think it's helping. I think it's contributing to the thing, is for sure. But so, anyways, what am I trying to say? I'm kind of not making a whole lot of sense here, but my blood pressure has been super elevated. I actually went to the ER this past Friday. I left work. I had to call somebody else in, and I went to the ER. When I checked into the ER, my blood pressure was 197 over 95, which is, people will say is critical. They ran every test that they could there in the ER and did not find anything. I had 2 different sets of blood work done. I had a urinalysis done. I had 2 EKGs done. Nothing. They didn't find anything wrong with me whatsoever. Said every test that came back was super perfect, and there was nothing wrong with me. At the time of discharge, my blood pressure was 163 over 92. And, it was midnight. They just let me go home. You're fine. All right. If you got any more problems, come back and see us. Go check in with your provider, follow up with those guys, whatever. But I got no answers whatsoever. I had, some tightness in my chest that night. I had some labored breathing, vice on my head, making me have the biggest headache you could imagine. Vision got more blurred than normal. I had a whooshing, kind of a swishing in and out thing going on with my ears and my hearing. Just kind of scary, guys. And I went to the ER and I got no answers. So I don't know what to tell you. But what was the point of my story? The point of my story was... Oh, did you hear that? It was kind of a little thing in my voice. Happens all the time. It's happened since day one on this podcast. But so the point of my story was, I'm not running right now. I'm going to get back to it. I've got a running 2.0 that's going to be coming out here shortly. I'm going to get back. I'm going to start back at 0 and finish that 365 consecutive days of running. That's going to happen. So in the meantime, I just got to wait. I got to make sure I'm healthy, make sure I'm not going to harm myself. So I'll get back out there. Excuse me. All right, so that's it for running. So right now, I haven't run for over a week now. And I'm kind of disappointed about it because I was really getting into it. I felt myself getting stronger. I felt myself getting better at the runs. Even though I was only doing limited mileage, my rule was I had to do at least a mile for it to count. There was one time I did not 0.98 miles, which I was kind of pissed off at, but the rule was at least a mile. I think I got up to 3 miles on one run. I wasn't going to go out there. I was only at day 37 when I stopped. I wasn't going to get out there and just do a shit ton of mileage right off the bat. I was going to work into it, and by the time 365 came around, I was going to be up to marathon distances and even further. And I still will be. I said that as a past thing, but in the future I'm going to get back to that. But I just got to get this blood pressure under control. They put me on some blood pressure medication. I've been on that for almost a week, but it seems like my blood pressure has gotten even higher since I've been on this medication. So I don't know what kind of drugs they gave me, but they don't seem to be working. I'm going to follow up with those guys. I need to send them a message here, actually. I forgot. I had set a reminder on my calendar at 11 o'clock, which is at 11. It is 11:47 right now on a Monday. This will come out on Tuesday, but I set myself a reminder, and it didn't even pop up, so I don't know what the hell's going on with my reminders. But I got to send them a message. So, yeah. I'm disappointed, guys, but, we'll get there. We'll figure it out. The next thing I was going to talk about was last Saturday, not this past Saturday, but the Saturday prior. I worked. Guy came into the bar. Seemed like a super nice guy. He came in, had a little hat on, had his little sunglasses, his little Oakleys or whatever, razor glasses up on the top of his hat. Not usually, and I'm not, give me a break. I'm not making super big stereotypes, but those are not usually the type of guys that I get along with. And it's a certain type of guy that wears their hat. They got the super bendy bill, low on the face, the Oakleys or the razor, type sunglasses on the top of the hat, and sometimes it's even worse if they're upside down. If they're right side up, questionable. If they're upside down on the hat, on the bill of the hat, on the top of the hat, that's usually a no-brainer. I'm not going to get along with those guys at all. So the guy, he's sitting down at the bar. We have a pretty decent conversation. There's only a few other patrons in there. There's a couple people at the far end of the bar. He's at the other end. There's a couple people at some tables out within the brewery, our brew house. And we, idle chit-chat, whatever. I'm sitting down having just a good conversation with him. We talked about the military, about my stint in the military, about how he wished he would have been in the military. He talked a lot about how envious he was of the Navy SEALs and the Special Forces and those type things, wishing he would have done his little stint in the military. He still thinks about it, blah, blah, blah. Loves America, whatever. I gave him one of my business cards, told him I run a podcast. Because something came up, he talked about podcasts. I said, here's my card. I run a podcast myself. So we talked a lot about podcasting. And we had a lot of the same interests as far as podcasts go. As far as Joe Rogan, we talked a lot about David Goggins, about Tim Ferriss. Who else? Jocko, who's a former Navy SEAL as well. Just we had a lot of the same interest in podcasting and the stuff that we liked. So we're having a great conversation. We're having a good time. About a few beers in, the guy seems like he's holding his beer fairly well. We're still having a great conversation. Then he starts taking over the jukebox. So we have a jukebox in there at Homegrown Brew House. I play, Caleb and I play iHeartRadio. We'll just type in whatever artist we want to listen to, and we listen to whatever playlist comes up for that artist. Well, this guy starts playing some tunes through you can pull up an app and play tunes through the app onto the jukebox. So he starts playing some tunes. Nothing too crazy, just basic, some country tunes, some classic rock, some 80s hair band type stuff. Next thing you know, he starts getting maybe a little bit loud. He starts singing some of the lyrics to the tunes. Maybe he's banging on the bar. A couple times he kind of bangs his chest, and he'd say stuff like America, yeah, hell yeah, America. And he starts getting a little kind of rednecky, to be honest. I mean, it's a cliche, but it's true because it's true. So he starts getting a little more vocal and a little more kind of alpha male, macho type thing, I guess. I don't know. He started getting a little loud. I wasn't paying too much attention to it. There's, very few people in there at the moment. He wasn't harming anybody. All of a sudden, a friend of mine comes in, female, walks in the door, and I could see, every time somebody came in the door, he would turn and look to see who came in the door. So it wasn't just this person, but this person he decided to latch onto. So he turns, He looks, and I'm watching him. I mean, I'm sober. This guy's not. So I'm kind of taking a look at what he's doing. He watches this lady walk into the bar. She walks over. She sees a couple people that she knows, so she stands and talks to them at the bar. And I can see him physically turn his stool, and he's just staring uncomfortably to me. So I can imagine how uncomfortable it would be if this girl would have noticed at the moment, but she didn't because she was engaged in a conversation. But he's just staring at her, and I said to myself at the moment, I said, this is going to get weird. It's going to get ugly. This guy has maybe had a few too many drinks, and you never know. This guy seemed to. I tell people when I tell the story, it was almost like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde moment. I mean, this guy just all of a sudden a switch just went off, and this guy just went to the other side. The entire time we've been having, cognizant conversation, very fluid, good conversation. I mean, I was really enjoying it. I even bought this guy a beer. I shared a beer with him because we were having a good time. We had a lot of the similar interests, it seemed. But all of a sudden, a switch just went off, and he locked gaze on this girl. She eventually stopped talking to her friends and came and sat right in the middle of the bar, right in front of where I normally, wash the glasses and stuff there at the sink. So she's sitting right in front of me. So to her right, to my left, he's, I think, 3 bar stools away from her. When she sits down, I know he's going to, because he had already instigated, conversations with a few other patrons that had come to the bar, and they all went fairly well. There was one guy that came and sat down that right before she got there, that he had already, had a few drinks, and he had gotten a little more animated. The guy sat down, had his 15-year-old son with him, and at this point, he had talked to some other patrons prior to this, but at this point, he was dropping some F-bombs, and he was a little more engaged, a little more animated, a little louder, I guess you could say. And at a couple times, I almost wanted to step in and say, look, dude, stop with the F-bombs, man. This guy came in with his kid. His kid's sitting here at the bar. You're dropping the F-bombs, talking directly to the 15-year-old, dropping F-bombs. But, the dad wasn't saying anything. The dad didn't look disgruntled. He didn't look like he was having a problem with it. So I was like, who am I to step in and tell this guy that he's being rude or that he's using the wrong language if the guy sitting here himself is not offended by it? So he actually had gone out to take a phone call at one point. And I told the guy at the bar with his son, I said, look, man, I'm sorry. This guy's a little bit intense. I apologize for that. And the guy's like, no, it's cool, man. It's all right. He's all right. We're just having a conversation, whatever. So I said, okay, man, that's good on you, man. If you're okay with it, then I'm okay with it. Anyway, he ended up leaving. This girl comes in. She's sitting across 3 bar stools away. The way he had engaged with other patrons that had come and sat at the bar, I knew he was going to engage with this girl, and probably in a bad way, which he did. So I'm sitting there talking with her. I'm trying to keep her occupied. I'm trying to keep her gaze here. I'm trying to keep my gaze here and not engage this guy at all and bring him into the conversation, because I knew as soon as I looked his way or as soon as there was a pause or something that he was going to jump in. So I was trying to keep the conversation just between me and her and I, her and me. Yeah, whatever. Didn't work. So her and I are sitting there discussing something kind of personal between her and I. And all of a sudden he jumps in. He hadn't stopped staring at her since she walked in the bar, but he looks down the bar at her. He's like, hey, you're pretty. You're pretty. You are really good looking. How you doing? What's going on? So I looked down at him and I said, look, man, I don't even know the guy's name. I said, look, this girl is married. She's got a ring on her finger. She's not interested. Just leave her the fuck alone, okay? Just stay over there. We're trying to have a conversation. Oh, okay. All right, man. I got you. Okay. So he sits down. He plays another tune through his phone. He's got his phone out. He's playing some tunes through the thing. The music comes on to the jukebox. bam, ooh, he starts singing. Oh, he's banging his chest like a fucking gorilla or some goddamn shit. I don't know. The dude's just losing his mind. He's going out of control. I'm not serving any more beer. He's drinking, nursing on this one beer that he's had for a little while. It's about half full at this point. Just kind of getting loud. I'm tuning him out. I'm just ignoring him. Again, there's a table back here. There's maybe a couple people at the end of the bar over here. It's not real packed. Nobody's getting offended. There's no kids in there. Nothing's happening. So this female and I are still having a conversation. I'm trying to keep her engaged and trying to keep him not engaged. All of a sudden, now he comes over and sits down in the stool right next to this lady. So I look at him. I lean across the bar. I'm like, look, dude, I've already told you to get the fuck away from her. Get back over there in your seat and don't fuck with her anymore. So he's like, oh, all right, man, I got you. Okay, all right. Calm down. Easy. So he goes back and sits in his chair. So I'm like, oh, I apologize. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on with this guy. I've cut him off. He's not having anything else to drink, but all of a sudden just, something snapped in him and he's just a totally different dude. So I apologize. Well, somebody else comes in and, no, somebody else didn't come in. Somebody ordered some food. So I had to go back and take a ticket to the kitchen. I come back out. He's sitting down next to her again, trying to talk to her. And I said, dude, I've already told you, leave this fucking girl alone. Get over there, sit there. I went over, I took his drink, I poured his drink out, and I got the computer and I said, look, you need to pay your bill. So I got the computer, I typed them all up, I grabbed his credit card, I swiped it. I said, all right, man, you're checked out. He had some water in front of him. And I said, that's it, man. I said, you're done. So he's sitting there drinking his water. And he hadn't left yet. He's actually standing at his chair. I continue the conversation with the young lady. Somebody comes in and wants something from the back hallway. We have a game room back there with a bunch of games and stuff. So somebody comes in and wants some games. I have to go back in the hallway to take care of him. So I go back into the hallway. I come back out. Now the guy is standing where the girl was sitting with his water glass, and the girl is nowhere to be seen. So I go and I look down the hallway to the kitchen. She's standing down there talking to the chef. So I walk down the hallway and I said, why are you down here in the hallway? Did he come fucking bug you again? And she said, yes, he did. So I went back out to the bar. The guy's standing there. I took his water glass from him. I said, you got to get the fuck out of here. I said, the door is right behind you. Get the fuck out of here and don't come back. And he left without incident. So luckily I didn't have to drag him out of there. Luckily, there wasn't a fight. He left. The girl stayed a little bit longer. She had said the whole time, if he was still there, that she wanted me to walk her out to her car. And I said, yeah, of course, without a doubt. And even after he had left, she sat there maybe another 10 minutes or so. And I told her I was going to walk her out. She said, oh, it's not necessary now. And I said, no, trust me. You never know what this guy's going to do, where he's going to be lurking, what he's going to be doing. So I'm walking you out. So as soon as I got off of work, or I didn't even get off of work. I was still working at the time. I still had a little bit of time left. So walked her out to her car, and all was good. Haven't seen the guy since. But anyway, long story, but that was my story of a guy at the bar. First guy I've ever had to kick out of Homegrown Brew House or anywhere I've worked so far. I've been a bartender at Lowe's Foods at the Beer Den. I've worked at Coastal Coffee. I've worked at Oak Road Brewing Company. Now I'm a partner over there at Homegrown, work there, and first person I've ever had to kick out. So there's that. I was kind of disappointed. The guy let me down. I thought he was a cool dude to begin with, but he was an asshole. He's a freak. He's a creep. And if I wouldn't have been there, who knows what he would have done and how stupid he would have gotten. So the guy at the bar. Why do people react so differently? Respond so differently, whether it be alcohol, whether it be, hell, even cigarettes, marijuana, different drugs, different medications. People can react so differently. Their chemical makeup is so different. It really is. I mean, we all think that we're the same. We all think we're humans. We all think we're man, woman. There's so many different variants. Even when people talk about transgenders, and they say that they're all just mentally ill. No, we're all wired differently. We are not the same people. we all have different chemical makeups. We all have different biology. We have different blood types. Everything. People are different. And is there really just a man and a woman? Could there not be a third thing? Could there not be a fourth, fifth, or sixth thing? There is so much that we do not know about humans. Really. We're continuously learning. I mean, go back and look at the way we thought back in the 1800s. Go back and look at what we thought in the 1900s, the 1920s, the 50s, the 70s. Now, there are so many different variants. There's so many things that we do not know. We cannot say that there is just one thing, that there was just a man and a woman. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. It's very closed-minded thinking. And we need to get away from that. We need to realize that there are so many different combinations of things. What am I trying to say? There are so many different combinations. It's not just 1 + 1 = 2. There's so many different things that make up a human body, and there's so many different variables. And one person's going to be an asshole when he drinks too many beers, and one person's going to be just the same person. One person's going to be even calmer. One person's going to be angry. One person's going to be romantic. I mean, everybody's going to respond differently. Everybody is made up differently. All right, enough of that. Went to a new brewery. Of course, I did a podcast from there, Wide Awake Brewing Company. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, the space, definitely has some limitations, which, I think everybody does. Everybody wants to outgrow their space. I think these guys are going to outgrow it quicker than maybe others because it is a tiny space. They do have room to grow. But I had a good time. Some people, just like anywhere else, some people didn't like it too much. Some people thought it was okay. Some people really loved it. And I thought it was a pretty decent debut from a brewery. I've been to some breweries that their debut, I told myself I'd never go back to the damn place because they sucked. And these guys at least kind of had 8 good beers. Did any of them really blow me away? Probably not. Will they blow me away one day? I think they will. I think these guys got a drive and a determination to be good. I think they've got a good start, a good base going on. And I think they're going to kill it eventually. I think they're going to have to move eventually as well, but I think they did a good job right out the box. So while I was there, this was after I did the podcast, I went back on a Saturday after I got off of work and tried more of their beers. I only had one during the podcast, but when I went back down there, I heard some people talking about podcasting and about this and that, and ended up inquiring, hey, do you run a podcast? And the guy said, yeah, I run a podcast. So guy named Dale, I don't have his business card in front of me. I can't remember his last name at this time, but he runs a podcast called Fistful of Cash, I believe it is. Let me verify that. Look it up. Let me verify. Fistful of Cash podcast. And it's the #1 MMA betting podcast. So it's sports betting, basically. And they do a lot with MMA, but they do all kind of different sports as well. So I met Dale and sat down with him and got some good insights, some good tips on podcasting and advertising and promoting and collaboration and those type things. So I'm hoping to implement a lot of that stuff and grow this podcast even more. So I want to thank Dale for the information that he gave me, and I hope that he has great success as well. And I hope that he has helped me to achieve greater success. So to Dale, cheers to you. That's Fistful of Cash podcast. So I'll put a link in the show notes to kind of look those guys up. If you're interested in sports betting, if you like sports, if you like to take your chances and see if you know if you can put your money where your mouth is, then look up Fistful of Cash podcast on Instagram. Coming up this Wednesday, this will come out tomorrow, Tuesday. So on this Wednesday, we've got another episode of Route 66 Roulette there at Homegrown Brew House. It's an interactive open mic where the patrons or the customers get to participate in the action. So when you come in the door, we'll fan out a deck of cards to you. You get to choose a card. So you'll get a number. Let's say you get a 7. We will be in the corner with some musicians. We will spin the wheel of misfortune. If the wheel lands on number 7 and you've got number 7 out in the audience, whatever the artist is for this Wednesday on number 7, so let's say it's Bruce Springsteen this week. The musician that is up there that is about to play, if they can play a tune by Bruce Springsteen, then whoever the patron was that had the number 7 wins a free beer. It's as easy as that. You come in, you get to listen to great music, you get to hear some artists try out some new stuff, and you get a chance to win free beer at a craft beer bar. We got 40 beers on tap. We got bottles and cans. It's a great place to listen to music and drink beer. So come out Wednesday night. Route 66 Roulette is from 7 to 9. Take your chance at winning some free beer. Simple as that. What else we got? The Noisy Boys. Speaking of Route 66 Roulette, I met the Noisy Boys at Route 66 Roulette a couple weeks ago. These guys are some local musicians from around town. I don't know if I have to say local musicians. If I could just say they're from around town, that pretty much denotes that they're local. So it might be an obsessive use of words. I've been trying to get up with these guys a couple times now. I've had them scheduled to do a podcast, and with one time I had a stomach bug going on, and now I've had this blood pressure thing going on, so I haven't been able to get to them. We were going to set it up and do it there at Homegrown after a Route 66 Roulette event. So maybe this Wednesday we can get together and do it. But these guys made a splash on Instagram, on Facebook, here in the local community, on the news, I even think, when there was a traffic jam on I-26, and they got out of the car with their instruments and just started playing right there in a standstill on I-26, and it got some great response. Some people got out of the car and started dancing. I don't know where the blind kid came from, but there was a blind kid. I feel like it was maybe staged. Just kidding, guys. But some people got out and started dancing. They're playing music. It's a standstill. It was a party on the interstate. I mean, how great is that? Who would do that? It was like something that you would see, in the 60s in the time of free love and just peace, love, and music. And these guys were putting it together out there. So that was interesting. And I've watched it about 5 times on Facebook so far. I want to get these guys finally on the mic eventually and talk about it and just see how the whole thing came about. I want to see how they came about. I want to hear some original music from these guys. So that is what's going on with the Noisy Boys. We're going to get with them eventually. I know they're probably a little irritated with me because I've had to cancel a couple times, but you can only do what you can do. And yeah, we're going to get with them. I promise. I promise, Noisy Boys, it's coming. Speaking of music, this week at Homegrown, we have Ben Somewhere is going to play the third Thursday this week. That's on the 21st, I believe, is the date on that. And then we have, of course, every fourth Friday of the month, we have the Paul Stone Project. So Paul Pietrofesso will be in there bringing the noise and the blues to Homegrown Brewhouse. So don't miss either one of those events. Those are both 8 to 10, every Thursday and Friday night, 8 to 10. Speaking of music at Homegrown, we had our first listening room event this past Saturday. Fleming Moore of Bummerville Amphitheater and I have combined forces to try and bring regional, national, and international artists to Homegrown Brewhouse to our listening room. The listening room is just like it sounds. It's a place where you can come to actually listen to music and not just have music as a background noise like you hear at a lot of open mics or at the Ice House or Wine and Tapas or any of these places that have featured music. Even us, on Thursday and Friday nights. The music is kind of a background. There's a few patrons there that are really into it, that are there specifically for the music. Some people just came in to drink beer, and the music is just kind of a forethought or a afterthought, not a forethought. And they're just there with the music in the background, just keeping them company. They're not even clapping. They're not even paying attention. They don't even know who the artist is. The listening room that we're doing, we've converted the space in the back. Real intimate, nice, easy lighting, intimate candles, whatever. And it's a pay-per-view, so you're going to pay a little bit of money. The money is going to go to the nonprofit of Bummerville Amphitheater. Bummerville Amphitheater helps to showcase, energize, and what's the words that he uses? Showcase, energize, enlighten, promote, whatever, local musicians around town. So we're trying to raise money for Bummerville Amphitheater to give back to the local community, to the local artists. And we're doing that by having regional, national, international artists come in that you wouldn't normally see around town. And we're putting them in our listening room. So it's a listening room. It's dedicated to paying attention and listening to the artist. So this past Saturday, we had Robert Lighthouse, international blues star from Sweden originally. He's now a native of D.C., and he came through town, and we put him in our listening room, and we had, I think 40 tickets were available. We sold 25 of those tickets for our first event, which was fantastic. And really, the way we had it set up in there, I don't think we could have even held 40 people at the moment. So the 25 was perfect. It was packed. There was standing room only, to be honest with you. We had 25 people in there. There was even some people that were out front in the brew house drinking that had come down the hallway to the bathroom, and you could hear the music from around the corner there. And they even came around the corner and said, "Hey, what is going on back here?" And we explained the whole event to them and what the purpose of it was, and that we wanted to provide a space in Somerville where people could actually sit down and listen to an artist and pay attention to it. And they were there specifically for the music and not just to have background noise at a bar. And they actually paid money to stick around and listen to the artist as well. So it was a great response. We had a fantastic time. I think it went over without a hitch. And we're looking forward to the next one. The next one is going to be March 16th. Local artist here, Danielle Howe. She's also regional, but she's one of the biggest female voices in town. She'll be playing on the 16th of March at 7:30. So go to bummerville.com. I'll put a link in the show notes. You can go over there and get your tickets. They're $15, and they're going to a great cause. They're going to a nonprofit. They're going to help support local musicians in Somerville. So get out there and do your part. If you don't feel like you're going to go, buy a ticket for somebody else and give somebody else the gift of music. That's all I can say. All right, so what else do we have here? I did totally off the music binge that I've been on here. Let's see where we're at here. We're at 43 minutes. Kind of just rambling, but I did a poll on Facebook. I asked people, and here's why. I went to a place called the Neighborhood Tap House over off of Rivers Avenue. I left the bar for a second to go to the bathroom. There's a women's, and there's a men's bathroom. I go to the men's bathroom. I open the door. There's a guy standing there urinating at the urinal. And this bathroom has a sink, it has a urinal, and has a toilet. And the toilet has no door on it. So you really can't have two people in there. Somebody's not going to be... People will do it, trust me. But somebody's not going to be standing at the urinal and then somebody else, taking a dump on the toilet. There's no barrier there. You're looking at the back of the guy at the urinal while you're sitting there trying to do your business on the toilet. So I walk in, and I had to do my business on the toilet. So I walk in, I open the door. I'm like, oh, apologize. I back out. The guy comes out of the bathroom. He's like, man, you could have come in. I don't give a shit. Whatever. And I'm like, well, I do give a shit, and I had to take a shit. So I'm not going to go in there while you're in there taking a piss. Lock the fucking door when you're in there. People don't want to walk in and see you. I'm not going to. There's no. What am I going to do? I'm not going in there while you're going to the bathroom to go to the bathroom. I'm sorry. There's no separation. There's no partitions, whatever. Some people don't give a shit. I do. So I started a poll on Facebook, and I said, look, here's a poll. Do you knock on the door in a public bathroom, or do you just walk in? 69% of the people said that they knock first. Surprisingly, I didn't think it was that many people. Of course, the other 31% say they do not knock. I do not knock, guys. I'm gonna be honest. If I go into a bathroom and I know that I need some privacy, I'm gonna lock the door. And if I didn't, then that's my fault when somebody walks in on me. If I did, then nobody can come in. When I go to a bathroom, I'm not knocking on the door. I'm going to trust that you have secured the door if you're in there. If you didn't, then I'm sorry. I'm walking in. I'll apologize. I'll back out. But I'm not going to knock on the door. I don't know. I just don't see the logic in that. That's why they put locks on the doors. You should have locked it. I shouldn't have to knock. That's my 2 cents. I don't know. What do you think? Give me your suggestions. Give me your comments. Feedback, you can email me at craftconversationspod@gmail.com. You can leave a comment on Facebook. You can leave a comment on Instagram. You can direct message me. Whatever. Give me a phone call. I think my phone number is out there somewhere. Just call me. Leave me a voice message, text message. I don't give a shit. But let me hear from you. What do you think? Do you knock on a public bathroom door, or do you just walk in? No knocking. I'm not knocking. I'm just walking in. Sorry for you if you didn't lock the door. I'm not going to stay, but I'm not knocking. Oh, what else? We talked about the listening room. We talked about Robert Lighthouse. Oh, let's talk about this. You remember Caleb Quire. I'm not going to use my phone. I'll do it on here. He has started a new venture called Baked Cat Studios. I don't know where the name came from. I know he likes cats. He doesn't like dogs. He didn't like my dog when he was here. Baked Cats. Why is it not coming up? Studio. Baked Cat Studio. Where is it? There's a bunch of YouTubes. Cat Studios? No. Well, I don't know now that I'm looking at it. But he started a new venture. He's rented a space over there at Coastal Coffee Roasters, and he's doing some stuff. Why can't I find it? Starstruck Cat Yard Studio. Nope, that's not it. All right, let me get on Facebook real quick. Let's go to, I know it's called Baked Cat. What is going on with my computer? Oh my God. I just can't even right now. All right, here we go. Baked. What is going on? You haven't sent my message. I know, because I'm not sending any messages. Caleb would be so upset with me right now if he was still sitting across the table from me, because I'm wasting a lot of time looking up something. But Baked. Is that what it's called? It's called Baked Cat Studios. Maybe I've got the name wrong. No, it's right there. Baked Cat Studios. Here we go. Baked Cat Studio. Why can't I find out what it is about? Here we go. So they're at 108 East 3rd North Street, which is Coastal Coffee Roasters. He's got a cell phone number down here. He's got a Instagram or a Facebook Messenger place to, let's see. Although thrilling, if I do say so myself, the tale encompasses many long years as an artist, trying many different business plans with many gargantuan ideas that eventually fell into dust as mere memories after failing. I never stopped dreaming, however, the passion stayed burning strong and only grew more as I grew as an artist. Let me start this over again. I just clicked and opened up a new window here. So here's the story. Baked Cat Studio. This was Sunday, January 27th, 2019. Although thrilling, if I do say so myself, the tale encompasses many long years as an artist, trying many different business plans with many gargantuan ideas that eventually fell into dust as mere memories after failing. I never stopped dreaming, however. The passion stayed burning strong and only grew more as I grew as an artist. So once again, I made the jump to create something that produced all the fun things swirling around in my head. That was a quote by founder Caleb. We want you to pick up that vibe, the sunnier side of life, and join us in our celebration of all things bright, bold, and beautiful. We have shirts, hoodies, and aprons, off the cuff, but the ideas are endless here. Every day we're brimming with new things we want to try and create for the world. Life is meant to be fun, so let's do just that. Thank you for being a part of the experience, the Baked Cat team. So there you go. Go to Baked Cat Studio, and I'll put a link in the show notes on Facebook. All right, and then they also have an Instagram. I'll put that in there as well. But anyway, he's doing some vlogs. He's doing a blog as well on his website, calebquire.com. I think that's his website. I'll put it in the show notes to make sure. But he's still out there doing creative stuff. So get out there and continue to support Caleb on his personal journey. All right. What else do we have here? I think that's about it. You know, I've been debating people online. I got a friend of mine that keeps posting. I think he's just trying to piss people off and just trying to spur content and hate and conversation or whatever. But he just posts a lot of hate speech, and it's kind of comical. But then it also kind of pisses me off because it's just some of these people are going to think that these things are real and that it's not fake news. And the majority of it that he posts is fake news. And I think he's just trying to spur a conversation. I don't know, but I've been debating these people online and trying to put my spin on politics and the way I think and how I view the world. And my older son keeps telling me it doesn't seem worth the time, and I kind of disagree. I think it is worth the time. I think it's worth the time to have a discussion with people, even if I don't feel like I'm going to change their mind. I'm hoping that I at least make them think for a split second. And maybe I do change somebody's mind. And let's just say this. I'm not out there to say that I'm the end-all, be-all and that my ideas and my thoughts are the way it should be. But I would like to think that I'm a sane person. I would like to think that I've got some common sense. I would like to think that I have a good view of the world and I have a good view of humanity and the way that I think things should be run, and that I think that we should all get along as a society. So, is it worth the time? I think it is. I mean, if I can get one person, just one, to be more passionate, to be more considerate, to be more loving, to be more kind, to be more accepting, and that one person can get one person to do the same, and that one person can get one person to be the same. Before you know it, we've got half of this population, half of 350 million people in the United States that have a more compassionate thinking. What is it I'm trying to say? If I can get half of those people, 150 billion or 150 million people to be more compassionate, be more considerate, be more thoughtful, be more kind, and have less hate, then I think it is worth it. I mean, just one person. Even if it's just one person. I think it's worth it. So to my son, does it seem worth the time? Yeah, I think it does seem worth the time. If I can just get one person. All right. Talk to you soon, guys. Be that one person. Get that one person. We can make a change. One person at a time. But we can do it. Be good to yourselves, guys. Talk to you soon.